Welcome to the stories on Echoes of Revenge. Step into a world where love turns dangerous, revenge feels inevitable, and every story drags you deeper into the shadows of desire, betrayal, and the human heart. Let's begin today's story. The Malibu beachfront property gleamed as my brother Ryan's moving truck pulled into the driveway. The oceanfront estate I'd purchased 2 years ago with financial consulting earnings had somehow become communal property during grandmother's funeral planning. "Daniel, we need to talk about living arrangements," Ryan announced, directing movers toward the entrance with practiced authority. Grandma always intended the beach house to be shared among family members. Grandma always intended. The same grandmother who'd been renting a studio apartment for 15 years and never owned beachfront property anywhere, much less the $4.2 million estate I'd purchased with quantitative trading profits. "The kids are so excited about living near the ocean," my sister-in-law Jennifer added enthusiastically, supervising their twin daughters. Ryan's explained how family property works, and this arrangement makes perfect sense. Family property. If only she knew this family property included mortgage payments I'd made for 2 years, property management fees exceeding Ryan's monthly salary, and maintenance costs protecting beachfront real estate they'd never legally owned. My family preferred Ryan's version where my financial consulting was stock market gambling that couldn't possibly generate enough income to purchase luxury coastal properties. "We've enrolled the girls in the local elementary school," Mom added with obvious satisfaction. "The Malibu district has excellent ratings, and beach access will be wonderful for their development. Beach access requiring homeowners association fees of $12,000 annually, private security services, and insurance premiums protecting assets worth more than Ryan's lifetime earnings. Daniel's been generous letting us use the beach house for vacations," Dad continued, directing family members carrying boxes toward bedrooms they'd apparently claimed. But Grandma's wishes were clear about keeping valuable property within the family structure. Grandma's wishes never included beach house ownership because Grandma never owned beach houses, never discussed real estate inheritance, and specifically avoided family financial discussions throughout her lifetime. "Ryan's researched legal frameworks for shared family property," Aunt Carol announced confidently. Grandma's estate planning always emphasized family unity and resource sharing. Grandma's estate planning consisted of a simple will leaving costume jewelry and furniture to relatives. No real estate, no investment accounts, and definitely no multimillion-dollar beachfront properties. "We know this is a big adjustment," Ryan said with brotherly concern. "But family means supporting each other, and this arrangement benefits everyone." Supporting each other. While they planned permanent residence in my property, I'd been managing quantitative trading algorithms generating more daily income than Ryan's annual salary. My phone buzzed with a text from Patricia Wells, my property management company. "Unauthorized occupancy reported at Malibu residence. Security cameras show multiple vehicles and moving activities. Need immediate instruction regarding trespass protocols. I should coordinate with my property manager about the arrangements," I mentioned casually. "Property manager?" Ryan looked confused, assuming family property was managed through family consensus rather than professional real estate services. "Still, I should check with Patricia," I replied, answering my secure line. "Patricia, what's the situation?" "Daniel, security footage shows unauthorized occupancy in progress. Multiple individuals moving personal belongings into the residence without property owner consent. What are the legal options for addressing unauthorized occupancy?" "Standard trespass protocols. We can issue immediate notice to vacate, coordinate with local law enforcement if necessary, and implement emergency lockdown procedures." Emergency lockdown procedures that would transform Ryan's family relocation into legal education about property ownership versus family assumptions. The moving process continued with increasing organization as my family established comprehensive household management. Ryan appointed himself head of household operations, while family members coordinated furniture placement and utility arrangements. "The kitchen renovation will be our first priority," Jennifer announced, reviewing interior design magazines with obvious enthusiasm. "Coastal living requires updated appliances and better storage for beach equipment." Kitchen renovation. The same kitchen I'd designed for entertaining financial consulting clients, featuring professional-grade appliances costing more than Ryan's annual salary. We should establish house rules about beach access and guest policies, Ryan added, having researched property management strategies. The neighbors seem particular about maintaining community standards. Community standards including homeowner association fees, architectural approval processes, and regulatory compliance requirements Ryan had never considered. Patricia, I said quietly, how comprehensive will the eviction proceedings be? Standard residential trespass protocols. Formal notice to vacate, legal documentation of unauthorized occupancy, and coordination with Sheriff's Department for enforcement if necessary. Through deck windows I could see Ryan explaining coastal property management to his daughters, confident about residents' rights existing only in family folklore. How long before they're required to vacate? California law requires 72 hours notice for unauthorized occupancy. After that, we can pursue immediate eviction through law enforcement channels. 72 hours for my family to discover that beachfront property ownership required actual legal documentation rather than inheritance narratives. Could you include documentation about property purchase, mortgage payments, and ownership verification? Absolutely. That will establish your individual ownership and demonstrate zero family financial contributions or legal claims. Zero family contributions that would permanently alter my family's understanding of their legal position. I returned inside to find Ryan's relocation had expanded to include permanent modifications he'd been planning for weeks. The master bedroom has perfect ocean views, he explained to Dad with obvious excitement. We're thinking about adding a balcony to maximize the beachfront experience. Adding a balcony to my property using construction plans requiring homeowner association approval, architectural permits, and insurance modifications costing tens of thousands of dollars. Daniel's always been generous about sharing family resources, Mom observed, unpacking kitchen supplies for permanent residents. This arrangement just formalizes what Grandma always intended. While they reorganized my kitchen, I'd been managing quantitative trading positions generating enough income to purchase 3 similar properties without affecting my financial stability. We should discuss utility arrangements and household expenses, Aunt Carol suggested. Fair cost distribution benefits everyone involved. What they were about to learn was that my property expenses exceeded their combined annual incomes and weren't available for family cost-sharing arrangements. The doorbell rang with distinctive chime indicating visitors rather than family members entering through sliding doors. That's probably Patricia Wells, I said. My property manager wanted to review the arrangements. Property manager? Jennifer looked puzzled, assuming family property was managed through family consensus. I opened the door to reveal Patricia Wells carrying official documents and wearing the professional expression of someone who'd handled similar unauthorized occupancy situations multiple times. Good afternoon, Daniel, she said, surveying my family's moving operation. I understand we have unauthorized individuals attempting to establish residence at your property. Ryan stopped directing furniture placement and stared at Patricia like she'd challenged his family's fundamental understanding of property law. Patricia, perfect timing, I replied. My family has been discussing residential arrangements that might benefit from your legal expertise. Patricia entered with confident authority while my family watched with growing apprehension about official property management involvement. According to Los Angeles County property records, Patricia announced, reading from official documents, this residence is owned solely by Daniel Chen. Purchase date, August 12, 2022. Purchase price, $4.2 million. No co-owners, family trusts, or shared ownership arrangements exist. Moving activities stopped completely as my family processed official documentation contradicting everything they'd assumed about inheritance and family property rights. Owned solely by Daniel? Ryan's voice carried strain as permanent relocation plans crumbled. Mortgage payments of $15,800 monthly, property taxes of $52,000 annually, insurance premiums of $28,000 yearly, and homeowner association fees of $12,000 annually, Patricia continued. $141,600 annually I'd been covering for 2 years while my family assumed collective ownership. But Grandma's wishes, Mom began weekly, then stopped as legal documentation implications registered. Property ownership requires actual legal documentation rather than family narratives, Patricia observed diplomatically. Mr. Chin has been extraordinarily generous allowing family use of his private property, but generosity doesn't create ownership rights. Furthermore, unauthorized occupancy of private property constitutes trespassing under California law, regardless of family relationships or assumed inheritance claims. Trespassing. Ryan stared at moving boxes like they'd personally betrayed his understanding of property law. So we can't actually live here? Jennifer asked, voice becoming desperate as she realized their permanent relocation was based on property they'd never owned. Correct, Patricia replied with professional precision. No family members have legal standing to establish residence, modify the property, or make decisions regarding household management. But where will we live? Ryan's voice carried panic as he realized their apartment lease had been terminated in preparation for beachfront residence that was legally unavailable. Patricia produced an official envelope. This is formal notice to vacate, required by California residential law. All unauthorized occupants have 72 hours to remove personal belongings and cease trespassing activities. Daniel, Ryan turned toward me with desperation and dawning realization, surely you're not going to evict your own family? Ryan, you moved into my property without permission, assumed ownership rights that don't exist, and planned permanent modifications to real estate you've never legally owned. But we're family, Jennifer protested. Family relationships don't override property law, Patricia interrupted professionally. Mr. Chen's ownership rights are protected regardless of family expectations or assumed inheritance arrangements. Any attempt to resist lawful eviction would constitute additional violations subject to law enforcement intervention. Patricia Wells concluded the consultation efficiently, explaining that unauthorized occupancy was terminated immediately and any remaining personal property would be considered abandoned after 72 hours. The moving truck was redirected to storage while my family processed that their beachfront lifestyle had lasted approximately 4 hours. Ryan's housing situation became critical when luxury coastal rentals required security deposits exceeding his annual savings, and his terminated apartment lease couldn't be reinstated without significant penalties. Jennifer's children's school enrollment was canceled when administrators learned the family's Malibu address was fraudulent, and their actual residence was a storage unit. Mom and Dad's social standing transformed when neighbors learned they'd attempted claiming ownership of multi-million-dollar property their son had purchased independently. The calls started immediately. Desperate voicemails about temporary housing assistance and being grateful for any help with their housing crisis. Ryan suggested family meetings where we could work out arrangements. I listened while reviewing quantitative trading algorithms that had generated enough profit to purchase 2 additional investment properties, then deleted them without responding. 2 months later, Coastal Property Management Weekly featured my estate as an example of proper documentation preventing unauthorized occupancy claims. My family wasn't mentioned, though property management sources praised the operational security that allowed me to maintain valuable assets while managing family relationships. Ryan rented a 1-bedroom apartment inland while searching for affordable housing. Dad enrolled in basic real estate law courses to better understand property ownership. Me. I was exactly where I'd always been, in my properly owned beachfront home office, managing quantitative trading strategies that generated wealth while maintaining full legal control of assets I'd earned through financial expertise. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about proving people wrong. It's about owning the beach house while they're planning the move-in.